Okay. So please welcome, this is such an honor, please welcome to Streaming for Vengeance, Judas Priest guitar player, Mr. Richie Faulkner. Thank you so much for joining us this week.
It's an absolute pleasure. I love the Streaming for Vengeance thing. I mean, how that hasn't been copyrighted by the band, I don't know, but that's a perfect thing right there.
I was able to get the URL, and my next email was to Chip and Jane saying, can we run with this? And Jane said, sure, go for it. So I wanted her blessing, obviously, because I didn't want any legal ramifications. I know who I'm battling with, if you know what I mean.
That's a brilliant thing. That's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be talking to you again. It's been a while, and it's a pleasure to be talking to Canada and looking forward to coming back and, and seeing the continent once more. So, we're looking forward to it, man.
Now, I'm not trying to make light of the situation because we were all really devastated when you were going down that path. But you actually even told the world that you had one of these now. It's a metal heart. So I wanted to get, as I said, I'm not making light of it. How are you doing? How's the metal heart doing? How's life?
Well, I appreciate you asking. It's very nice of you. My heart's fine. My heart always was fine. It was everything around it. And not to make a long story even longer, I'm doing fine. We're back out on the road. I've been taking some precautions, leading up to this, and making sure that my heart was able to cope with the rigors of the road before we came out. So making sure that I was doing a lot of cardio and basically making sure my heart was strong enough to deal with it, and it's been going fine. The shows have been going great. I've been in the safe zone in regards to where my heart rate's been and everything, and it's been going great. So yeah, the surgeons and everything, they were happy with me to go back out on the road. And it's just been going from strength to strength. And leading up to this point, really, the fans have been fantastic. They've been really supportive, as you've probably seen, when it all went down. And it's just been it's been a bit of a whirlwind. But now, we're back on the road and back to some kind of normality. And long may that continue. So thanks for asking. I appreciate that.
Well, and I think a lot of people just think being in a rock band is like a walk in the park. And you just stated right there, to actually be on the road, it's quite an athletic adventure. So like what routine, like doctor check-ins, like what kind of routine changes have you had since this has occurred? Like daily routine.
The main one really is just making sure that, I've got to keep my heart rate in a certain level. As you can imagine, there's a when we go on stage, there's adrenaline, there's a lot of physical exertion that goes on, and because of what I went through, I've just got to make sure that my heart can handle that and it doesn't get into a dangerous spot again where anything dangerous can occur. And as I said, prior to coming on the road, there was a lot of preparation that I had to do to make sure of that. And now on the road, I've got to make sure that it doesn't go beyond a certain level where I get into that dangerous territory. Keeping my, I'm on medication as well, which keeps blood pressure and heart rate down. So all those things combined, diet and everything like that, just ensures that I keep myself in a safe spot. Not only on the road, but off the road as well. After this, it's going to be I'm on those things for life, if you know what I mean. Now it's kind of changed for life. So, but obviously taking into consideration those things when on stage, because it is as you said, it is a rigorous thing. There's a physical exertion, and we're traveling around. There's a schedule. There's travel. There's air travel, which is pressure and stuff. There's all those sort of things to take into account. Just making sure I'm in a safe spot while we do all those things. It's just due diligence, really.
And what was the biggest thing that you missed being off the road the last couple of years?
Obviously, the reason I do it is I love to play. I think part of why we all do it is we love to play, and we, you know, in Rob's case, he loves to sing. You know, and obviously we miss, I mean, live music. I think any band would tell you that. I mean, I would say there's few bands that say they prefer being in the studio to live. I think a lot of bands start on the stage. You know, they start in the live arena, and then they go on to capture that in the studio, and then the studio becomes part of that. But I think ultimately, first and foremost, people do it for the live experience. And I think not being able to do that for the last few years, we've all missed it. And that's been the biggest thing, you know, the interaction with the fans, the experience that live music gives you personally as well is one that's kind of spontaneous and different every night, you know. You know, most of these songs obviously I didn't write, you know, and you know, the ones from Firepower that we did and Redeemer of Souls in the last couple of tours, even though you can play the same songs every night, even though you've written them, they take on a different character when you play them live. You know, the energy in the room's different, or the guitar solo's slightly different, or the interaction's different. I don't know, it's just, you know, it's just that, as I said, that live experience you get, and we've definitely sorely missed that. So it's great to be back. It's great to be, not to be dramatic, it's great to be alive, great to be back and playing, and great to be playing for the fans. And hopefully this is the first leg of, you know, of this, and long may it continue in different countries around the world. Now,
there was a suggestion that Rob, and he really pulled it back, that you could handle all the guitars in a live sense. That was a rather strange bit of news that came out of the Priest camp that kind of, do you think when you heard that, and obviously it sounds like it came from Rob, did you like, well, wow, did you think you could actually handle all the guitars yourself?
Well, there was, I mean, obviously we know about the kickback that came, you know, from the fans, but there was a section of time there where that's exactly what was going to happen. You know, that was the announcement that went out, and it was my sort of job really to make sure that that's what I made happen from a guitar point of view. So, you know, we kind of went back on that and rethought that, but there was a time when that was exactly what was going to happen. So I was kind of thinking about how that was going to happen, how I was going to make that happen, how it was going to be put into place, you know. So I had a few ideas about how that was going to happen. It was going to be a challenge, of course, and obviously I don't have four hands, so there was going to be a different approach to it, of course. But as we said, like, then there was that kickback from the fan base, and in a way, thank goodness there was that much concern. You know, it would have, if there wasn't, you know, if there wasn't that much passion from the fans, it would have been a sad thing, really. I think the good thing was, if there was a positive to take out of all of that, it was that people cared so much still about their band, Judas Priest, that they still had, you know, a lot to say about that decision. And we had no choice but to listen, really. And I think it was a healthy thing to happen. And, you know, fair enough, and all's well that ends well, if you know what I mean.
And it just dawned on me, finally, social media actually has a positive outcome and a positive purpose.
Exactly, yeah. And
right?
You can't help but listen to a movement that strong, if you know what I mean.
It was fast. It was fast.
It really was. It really was. And it's funny, you know, if it was 1975 or 1980, you wouldn't have had that. You wouldn't have had that response. It would have just happened, and we'd have gone out on the road like that, and it would have been a different outcome. You know, in 2022, we have the luxury, if we want to call it that, to have that kind of connection to the fan base, and we can have the fans tell us what they think and react accordingly. So it's quite a blessing, really.
So in 1975, you would be waiting months after the fact, and you'd see this glut of fan mail show up, and like, wow, I guess we made the wrong decision.
Exactly. Maybe in 1975, it would have been one of those things where, you know, the band would have made a decision and would have fallen by the wayside for it. Who knows? You know, it was one of those things. You know, some bands didn't stand the test of time for decisions that they never knew.
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say? They made decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
And there goes the phone. Sorry
no more room service. Well, let's put a really big bow on this thing, because you and Sneap are like kids in a candy store. Let's be honest, right? Like on stage, you're playing all this unbelievably classic heavy metal material that we all grew up with. What's that interaction? How do you guys talk together? Do you fanboy and go, wow, I can't believe we're doing this? Like,
well, yeah, you know, it's interesting that you say that, because we are, you know, me and Andy are really, we talk about it all the time. You know, we talk about, you know, how we can improve it, what can we do next, what songs we can do. Because, I mean, up until now, it's no secret really, up until now, Priest have always kind of stayed, that, you know, they go out with one set and they stay locked into that set for the duration of the tour, really. And I think since only for the last couple of years, we've changed the set around as we move through the tour, through different countries. We've changed the set, and you know, I don't know if it's purely because of me and Andy's influence, but I know that we do kind of, you know, give them a little elbow in you know, for, hey, what about this song and what about that song, and you know, so, and you know, we're always discussing, hey, what about, you know, Island of Domination, or you know, what about Tyrant, or you know, and sometimes we have these discussions with the rest of the band, and somehow they find their way into the set. So, you know, we're always, I think, as fans, and maybe because we were on the outside for so long, and now, you know, we're on the inside. We are like, we do have a different opinion and a different viewpoint, and we do talk about it quite a lot, about what we can do differently and how we can, you know, maybe do something different, you know. So yeah, I mean, we're both, you know, really proud to be up there, and it's a huge honor to be up there playing songs, you know, from, you know, the last 50 years of one of the most influential heavy metal bands of all time, you know. And we'll see what we do in the future. There might be, you know, as I said before, there might be some more songs that get added to the set as we move through this tour and do different legs. And, you know, and as I said, part of that comes from mine and Sneap's enthusiasm. You know, we might see Island of Domination yet, or we might not, who knows?
right. Well, we're all aging, and you are obviously due to your health issues. And the whole Tipton thing is pretty, it pulls at the heartstrings as well, because how does it feel when Glenn walks on stage, and what's his health status these days? Because he seems to be chugging along.
Yeah, Glenn's out with us at the moment. He's come out, and we've always said that Glenn will come out, you know, if and when he can, and when he's able. You know, sometimes he won't be able, sometimes he will be. And he's doing okay. He comes up for a few encores at the end, and he's handling them very well. And I think it's inspirational, really. I think going through what he's going through, I think it's a signal, really, to anyone that might be going through something similar, or something that, if you're going through your own challenges, you can look at Glenn and people like that, and maybe you can take that on board yourself and think, well, if Glenn can do it, maybe there's hope for me too. You know, maybe I can face these challenges and still push forward. And that's the way I look at it, really. You know, Tony Iommi is another one. Tony Iommi went through his challenges as well, and pushed through them and handled them in his own way. And I think it's just nothing short of inspirational, really. He loves doing it. Glenn loves doing it. It's hard for him. You know, you can imagine it's hard to go through time zones and do what he's doing, but he loves doing it. He loves the fans. He loves the music. He loves the band. and he's up there doing it. So it's a testament to his character, and it's a testament to who Glenn Tipton is as a person. So we love him for it. And as I said, he might not be able to do it all the time, but
right
when there he is, and he's doing it 1,000%.
And when he's not on stage, he's working on a brand new record that you guys are working on. How's that working relationship? And you know what I mean? You're working with a guitar icon. And how do you fit into the whole writing and recording mode?
Yeah, working with Glenn as a guitar player is really great and unique, because Glenn's always looking for something great and unique. It's something that I learned from Glenn. He's always looking for something slightly different. He's always looking for whatever that may be. We could have an idea, or a song's almost complete, and he's looking for that little something. And we've had conversations before, musically, where I don't understand what he's looking for, and I think the song's done, and I don't understand. I'm thinking, Glenn, the song's done, and he's not happy with it, and we're looking and we're searching, and when we get what he's looking for, that little difference, that little turnaround, or that thing that he's looking for that we find, is what makes it different, that makes it not run of the mill, and what makes it Judas Priest. And it's really important to learn that little thing runs through the whole DNA of the Judas Priest catalogue. That thing that we love about Priest, that thing that we love that sets Priest apart from the rest, that's where it comes from. So it's a joy to work with Glenn and Rob, really, the way they work, and it's been a privilege, really, to work on songs in the studio with them. So yeah, we're working on the new record, and hopefully we can. Obviously, we're touring this year, so we've got to find a time to fit the sessions around the touring. And we've had some limitations because of the pandemic. We usually get together, and we haven't been able to do that because of lockdowns and everything. But hopefully, we'll be able to get some stuff done around the tour. So as soon as we do that, you'll be the first to know.
Is Tom Allom part of the equation this time around?
Yeah, we want to keep the same production team of Andy and Tom. It worked on Firepower, and if it's not broke, don't fix it. It was just such a great production relationship on the last one. We don't want to change that. We want to keep that the same, and they've really got the best out of everyone. The best performances, the best sort of atmosphere, the best everything, really. We really thought it came across on the Firepower record for the best, and we want to keep that the same.
What do you think when you look at Tom Allom's resume? Because he was there guiding that Judas Priest ship right from Unleashed in the East, and man, to have that on your resume, those Priest records, like, wow, that's like pretty insane.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Andy as well, and from the more modern approach, Andy's the same, really. They both, there's not many people that can tell Rob that that's not good enough, do it again, and both Andy and Tom have that quality. They've got the respect and the trust that you need to sort of, if you tell Rob that that's not good enough, Rob immediately trusts them that they know what they're doing, and they're coming from the right place, So, and again, it brings the best out in everyone. We all know that if they tell you that's not good enough, it's because they know you can do better, and they know that we can make a better record or a better take here. So it's the trust and that quality, that history, as you said, that these guys come with, is just second to none.
Just a couple of quickies for you. Are you paying attention to all this Dolly Parton stuff?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you can't help but pay attention to it, really. It's very interesting stuff. Very interesting. Dolly, I live in Tennessee, and Dolly's a big part of the community out there. So you can't not pay attention to it,
It's our #1 news story right now, her being still on the ballot. Do you pay attention to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame stuff? Is that any concern? I have kind of a bitter taste because they've always been playing catch up. There's bands that are on that should have been. What breaks my heart is John Lord was dead after Deep Purple got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is that's just one example. Grand Funk is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's, I don't know, some people call it a travesty. Other people think it's the greatest feather in your cap.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, I'm not eligible to be nominated, so I have a bit of a different. I know some of the guys in the band. I mean, they're going to have a different opinion to me. They've been doing it for 50 years, and I think it's, you know, they can have a different opinion to me. I don't see really. I don't see the credibility in it. Really, I know we get asked this a lot, and it's natural really to be asked this. I don't see really the credibility in it. I don't see the validity in it really. When so many people are not in there, it's almost more credible to not be in it. You know, and I've said this before, but after 50 years of touring, still putting out music, still, you know, Priest have millions of fans around the world that put them there. I think that's more of an accolade than a trophy on a shelf, you know, and I felt that way for a long time, and I can't see that changing. And you know, as I said, I'm not eligible for it, but you know, and with the Dolly Parton thing, I think she recognized her brand. And I think either the Rock Hall should rename itself, or maybe concentrate a little bit more on the branding of its own business rather than the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If a band like Judas Priest isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame from day one, then it's hard to take it seriously if it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So to me, it doesn't really mean much. So we'll see, but I know it means a lot to some people and not a lot to others. But to me, it doesn't really mean much.
My last question: did you read Rob's book, Confess?
I didn't read it. I did the audio book. I thought it was very entertaining. I thought it was typical Rob, you know, entertaining and funny, very thoughtful, very eloquent, and very well put together.
And did you read KK's? Did you read KK's?
I didn't read KK's. I haven't read it yet. He didn't send me one. I mean, Rob sent me one, and he autographed it, and he sent me the link to the audio. But I haven't read Ken's. I've heard lots of good things about it, though. I've heard he's also an entertaining read. I just haven't got around to reading it. I should read it.
Did you have any relationship with KK, or had you met him or anything?
Not at all. No. We've had a couple of would you say not virtual, but we had communications online. You know, a couple of emails and Twitter stuff. But I've never spoken to him or anything like that, and obviously not before. But no, very, very minimal. Everything I've heard has been, you know, through the metal tabloids over the last 12 years, and most of it has been kind of, you know, not great, really, you know. But I'm sure there's more to the story. But all you hear is the shit show that goes on. You know what I mean? But
yeah. Well, and as a fan growing up with seeing the band, it's I guess it's like a marriage. Some work, some don't work, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's a shame it didn't work out, and it ended the way it did. But that's life sometimes, you know what I mean? I'm sure if it ended differently, we'd be in a different situation now.
Right.
But again, that's life, you know.
I wish you the best on the road. I can't wait to see you guys live in Toronto at some point in time. Safe travels, and keep waving those horns, man. Thank you.